let's call this meeting to order on Tuesday, June 2nd at 7:01 p.m. for the Board of Metropolitan Police Commission for the town of Whitestown. And we will do roll call. Kevin Foley.
Here.
Bill Fletcher.
Present.
John Nixon.
Here.
Eric Nichols.
Here.
And Susan Austin, I am here. Would everyone please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? And if you look at your screen, it is where Dennis Anderson has. Dennis is moving, Chief Anderson's moving out of the way. So please join me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I know that's a bit awkward. Would everyone please join me in a moment of reflection? This has certainly been the most difficult week that we have seen in a very long time. And let's all include the people hurting in our prayers. There goes the light behind me again. Thank you all. I think we're covered. I don't think there's any additions to the meeting agenda other than we have someone here to speak. So do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
And
For
do we
the
have a
Board of
second?
Metropolitan Police Commission.
I'll go ahead and second.
We have a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries. Okay, first up then.
Aye.
Hi, Bill. First up then, if we could, is let's welcome Keisha Rawlins.
If we could real quick, Susan, can we do the meeting minutes and that way?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on just a minute. Do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes that were presented from the May 12th, 2020 Zoom meeting?
Make a motion that we approve those minutes. Is it Eric Nichols?
And the second?
Second, Bill Fletcher.
And John Nixon at the same time. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Now, we have Keisha Rawlins, who is with us tonight, who would like to have a quick session with us. And Keisha, go. I think you're unmuted, so.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. The reason I wanted to join the meeting today, in light of all the heightened racial tensions that's going on around the world right now, and in addition to the class of 2020, the graduating class of 2020 dealing with COVID-19 and also the racial tensions, I wanted to propose the idea on June the 20th, which is a Saturday from 1 to 3. A community is called Unity in the Community March from Walker Farms to the municipal building. I've had some neighbors ask me, tell me that my boys and I are in their prayers. What can they do to be a voice? What can they, how can they help? And I figured one of the best ways to do it would be to do a peaceful Unity in the Community March, which consists of having several police officers, if available in uniform, along with some graduates in their graduation cap and gown, or just their caps, depending on the weather. Again, with some signs, just doing a peaceful march from the subdivision to the municipal building. The significance of the date, even though it's a day after it, is also falls around Juneteenth, which is Juneteenth is June 19th, but that's the original Emancipation Proclamation of the slaves. We would just be doing it on that Saturday just because it would be a little bit more feasible. As most of you are aware, I'm on the Human Relations Commission, which we haven't really been real active at this time. But I think it would be a nice, it would be a nice way to still bridge the gap and enhance community police officer relations. I've had some great experiences with the Whitestown Police, and I've had some not so great experiences with the Whitestown Police Department. And on the opposite side of that, you know, I have a lot of friends that live in the inner city of Indianapolis that commute to Amazon or what have you, and a lot of people are terrified to even come out here. Just because, you know, they said, well, you know, some people feel like they've been profiled. Like I said, I've had wonderful experiences on both sides of it. So I just think that this would be a great way to still build that relationship between the officers that are policing our community and the community members.
Keisha, is this something, I mean, is this something we can work with town administration and Chief Anderson's group to make sure it's safety? I will tell you that might be a bit of a long march for some if we're going to be hot again and getting people back home. So that is something to think about, and to bring in the HPC commission or the
HRC.
HRC.
Yeah, we have
Human
too many
Relations, yes.
commissions with little initials. So the HRC commission and bring those folks and to talk about this as well.
Right. Yes, I am on the Human Relations Commission. I would just be reaching out to the other members of the commission to bring them in. It's just we have a really short amount of time to organize it if it is approved. And again, that you are right. That could be a lengthy walk. It's a little over 3 miles if it is later in the day and if the weather is going to be hot on that day. So we can look at the timing if it's better to do it earlier in the morning, or if there's a shorter distance of where we could go, or what have you, or even if we can have, you know, the meet in the parking lot of the municipal building, and either, you know, go over. But there is significance in having the police and the community presence in communicating and socializing with each other. And I know we have the night out with the police or what have you that also bridges that. But I think it's important to remind people, in the light of everything that's going on right now, that we're a team. So divided we stand and united we fall. You know, you do have some police officers that are not right, and you have a lot of them that are. In hindsight 2020, if something happens in anybody's community that an emergency is required, what are they going to call? They're going to call 911. They're going to call on the same police officers that, you know, a lot of people are kind of at odds and ends with right now. So this is to kind of show people that we are still a community. We're unified and we're working together for the betterment of our community, to let people know that it is safe here.
Well, I can say for the police department that we would welcome the opportunity to sit down and work together a safety plan. If it means that putting the march together from Walker Farms all the way to the municipal complex, as long as the logistics are in place and there's safety in the plan, we'll be more than happy to work with you to put it together and to bring it to fruition.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So what I plan on doing is I'll reach out to the other HRC members, as well as a couple of the other community members that have reached out to me to form a smaller community committee to work on putting that plan together. Today is Tuesday, and since we are on shortened time before the 20th, and I have a lot to plan with the open house as well on that day, I'll try and have an outline plan by this Friday.
Okay.
And then I can email that over. I have Nathan's email address, and I have a way to get in touch with Bill. I'm not sure if I have your email address or Susan's email address.
Okay.
And Keisha, I hate to interrupt. This is John Nixon. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, John?
Doing fine. I wonder, and I'll just throw this out there and people comment, please. If Susan's concerns are the length of the walk, which, that is a fairly lengthy walk. I wonder if like Eagle Church or one of the churches about halfway or so would allow people to come meet there and launch the walk from that location to the municipal building. That would be it would still be a good walk that would draw attention and the recognition that I think that you would like, but it would also then shorten the walk, especially if there are kids or something, that it might be a compromise.
Right. That makes sense too. So what I can do again when I put out the plan, so because I haven't communicated to many people about the idea, I wanted to touch base with you guys first, get the approval, get the feedback, get the support, and then go from there. So, I mean, if that's a feasible option and either working, I can even do Hope Christian Church. I have a few contacts over there. I don't have very many contacts at Eagle Church, but I do know at Hope Christian Church, there are some people that I can get in touch with to have that as the central meeting point and then do the walk from there.
Okay.
So I'll reach out to everyone and put that in the plan and see what we can come up with.
Yeah. And Keisha, do you know how many graduates we had from Lebanon in the area?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I know I can only think of, right now I can only think of 2, but I haven't put the rest of the feelers out there yet. So that'll be a part of my research for this weekend, working with my son and their friends to get that list and to see if they would be available to attend.
Because it sounds like, I know that Zionsville and Whitestown and our fire departments and the sheriff's department all did drive-bys of the graduates that they had lists of. So it sounds like maybe some people got missed, and that'd be a good option for us to try to get that to happen again.
Okay, that would be wonderful. So let me see what list I can come up with, and then the list that I come up with, if they still have the previous list from where they did the drive-by, then we can kind of compare notes.
Yeah, I think that was from Lebanon School, so we'll have to reach out on that.
Okay, I will shoot Mr. Reynolds an email tomorrow morning to see if he has that list and kind of explain what's going on and if he's willing to share it, and then we can kind of, go from there.
That'd be great.
Okay, well, I just appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity. Hopefully I can pull it together, and I just think it's important, one, for the class of 2020 to see that we can still work together. We're better together than we are divided, and that keeping in constant communication and building those relationships with the police department or the police force is what prevents a lot of the issues that people are seeing today.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having that relationship and about having that communication, and without it, there's an unknown factor, and that unknown factor is what keeps people scared on both sides of the fence,
Mm-hmm.
which ultimately can end up in some pretty sticky situations.
Well said, Keisha. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Right.
Thanks
Thanks
so
for
much
having
for heading
me.
this up.
Thank you, Keisha.
Okay. I appreciate you guys. You guys enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll be in touch with you this week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care.
I'm glad she came forward for us. We do not have a Boone County Communications presentation tonight. But in future, I don't know if you guys heard this, but our own Sam Sorter is the replacement to Tom Garofalo in charge of communications up at Boone County Sheriff's Department, which he has been working there since I have known him for, I'm not even going to say, but he's been, so this has been something in his desires. And I think, so congratulations tonight to Sam on your promotion. And we look forward to having you come join us and keep us updated as well. So from our police commission to Sam Sorter, congratulations. So, and with that, Chief, it's yours.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioners, in your packet, you only had a partial statistical report, and it was the parts that were missing because we had such a late meeting in May, staff was able to get together a lot of the April stats and get them to you. And so what we included in the May, in your packets for June, were the rest of April stats. So beginning in July, we'll be back on track with getting everything back to you on a much fuller note. Anybody have any questions on, I think it was the towing reports were caught up from January, and then the expense reports were caught up. So if anybody's got any questions there, I'm happy to try and give you an insight.
Everything's down for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay, then we'll just move right on along and jump back into old business. First up is the review and approval of building invoices. I sent you a copy of the sources and uses as of 5/26. We're still in really good shape numbers wise. The building's still right on budget, and other than the pushback in major completion date, we have another meeting with the builders tomorrow morning. We'll have a little bit better a feel for whether we're looking now at major completion by the end of July or whether it's going to get pushed into the first weeks of July. I would anticipate at this point, from what Scott and I walked through the building today, I would almost bet that we're looking around an August 1st move-in time. So that'll allow them to get everything done, all the punch lists done, and the building ready to turn over. So first up is you've got a RAQW invoice, which includes a number of smaller invoices below it, and for a total of $2,107.70, and that I submit to you for approval and payment.
I would make a motion that we authorize and send to council for approval the RQAW invoice for $2,107.70. Do we have a second?
Second.
Bill seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I see a GM Development Companies LLC invoice for $5,000. I would make a motion that we approve that as well.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Sorry, guys, you may have a bark.
Aye.
Stop. Do you want to talk about the triangle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Commissioners, as part of the new building design, the amount of the parking lot repavement that was built in to the actual new building consisted of the new parking spaces and the new drive coming off of Boutwell Drive and in and out of the Sallyport were a part of the scope of the new building. It became real apparent shortly after construction started as to the true nature and consistency, that's a hard word to say, of the current asphalt in the rear parking lot. Lots of the area has started to degrade with the construction traffic coming in and out. And we've now learned that there's a drain in the middle of the parking lot that's actually setting too low below subgrade. It needs to be raised by about 10 inches to even out the level of the parking lot. So we had 3 asphalt companies who do business with the town on a regular basis submit quotes to redo the parking lot. And I sent you that. Greg Marks, our GM from GM Development, our owner's rep, evaluated those. And his recommendation was for us to accept Triangle Asphalt Company due to the fact that they were right on scope with what we asked them to do. We feel that the builder feels that the square footage is right on target, and the cost is actually the lowest or second lowest per square foot. And so going back to the builder, the building line item has approximately $40,000 in it for asphalt paving. That doesn't count curbing or sidewalks or any of that. That comes out of a different line item. And we're looking at about a $70,300 fee estimate to repave for them to come in and mill up all the existing lot and level everything to grade, bring that drain up to level, and then I think it's 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches of binder, and then 1.5 inches of mill on top of that. And so that would give us a completely new parking lot back there at grade, and I think it would give the final touch of the building, as far as the curb appeal would be enhanced greatly by doing that. Scott and I went back through all of our encumbrance numbers from last year. There's some funds that we had originally set out for extension of in-car cameras to the Axon system that I think this is more important. And so I would ask to be able to utilize some of those funds. What I'm basically asking you is to approve $40,000 of our encumbered funds to move alongside the builder. The builder will execute the paperwork with the asphalt company, have the work completed, and then on settle up day, when the building is totally finished and we go through all of the different allowables that are built into the building, any allowables that are left over will be deducted, and then they'll give us a final bill, whatever that bill will be. Obviously, it won't be anywhere near the $40,000, but I want to be prepared in the event that they mill up the parking lot and we find something under there that we don't know is there that has to be corrected.
So Chief, for this proposal, and sorry guys, I keep muting because I have a dog barking here. You need us to go ahead and approve the entire amount, which would also include the drain repair, correct?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we have a not to exceed amount of $73,300.
40.
I would ask you to put a not to exceed $80,000, even though this quote is showing $70,300, so that we know exactly if the builder has 40 allotted and we put 40 alongside, that gives us
Okay.
80. If there's a problem, we can just go ahead and repair it. If not, then the amount's going to obviously be less than the 40,000 that I'm asking for.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Where are the drains, sidewalks, curbs figured in? Are they already in the construction bid?
Yes, and most of those are already in. The infrastructure for those are already in the ground, and they're separate from the paving. The paving is a line item all by itself.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Then I would make the motion that we authorize the expenditure not to exceed of $80,000 towards the resurface of the rear parking lot with the caveats that Chief has shared with us.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Any additional conversation?
I just want to make sure for the minutes, you're approving the 80,000 or 40,000.
Not to exceed 80,
Okay.
with the understanding that what's left goes towards reducing that 80.
Correct.
Correct.
So, okay, motion made, seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0.
Thank
Okay.
you, Council or Commissioner.
Then we still have the Axion, or do you want to talk about that?
Yep, I'll talk about that.
Okay,
You want to do that? You want to do B before A?
no, go back, sorry.
That's all
I'm
right.
just jumping around.
All right, under new business, item A is discuss and appoint reserve public safety officer. That was the confidential files that I sent all of you. If you had an opportunity to review them, we have Jacob King. Scott had him go ahead and log on. Jacob was the background investigator for this applicant. And I know this is unusual that we do it this way, but we're not in a position where we can have an executive session. So I guess we're actually able to do kind of that here since this is being recorded. So be cognizant of that when you're talking about personal information regarding the applicant, so that it's not then rebroadcasted when this goes live.
Mhm.
Scott, I'll
I
let
think
you.
I would just ask, since Jacob did that background check and all, and has probably interacted with him, feel good about him, feel confident about him, look good on paper.
Yeah, I think all of you see his background packet.
Yeah, they all got his background.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. For his age, I think he has an absolutely great resume. He's done, went above and beyond with building that resume from, the military to the EMT to the degree, and then he has some experience on the road, although limited. For as young as he is, he's built a very good resume.
I think the important thing to note on this particular applicant is that he was in our full-time process. He was moving along well on that, with us kind of being put on hold with hiring full-time right now. We thought it'd be a good idea to offer him a reserve selection and get him out here, see how he works with our guys, see what he's all about.
I think that's a great idea.
do too.
This is Chief Ralston. It might not be a bad idea to maybe continue with that kind of program with.
Well, every applicant's different as far as what they're doing. He's only applied to us. A lot of times they're in multiple processes. He's currently a cadet with is it IU, Jacob?
IUPUI.
IUPUI. So he's got the time. A lot of times these guys come in, they've got full-time jobs and it's harder. But he's a perfect example of one we should be doing that with for sure.
Scotty, I think that's a wonderful idea to bring him on, and let him work with our other officers and see what experience and what input is on that. I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, it's great for him too. He gets to see the department, work with the people, make sure it's a place that he wants to spend time at. Both sides benefit.
Yes.
Correct. And the other officers have the opportunity to do basically a team interview without having to do a team interview.
Any other discussion? Somebody want to make a motion to appoint, or I guess I'll make the motion that we appoint the reserve public safety officer presented to us.
I would love to second this one. I second.
Motion made. Any additional discussion? Then everyone in agreement say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it carries 5-0.
Thank you, Officer King.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jacob. Commissioners, last but not least, under new business is to discuss and approve the Axon Enterprise Agreement extension. As you know, when AC Ralston presented this last year, it was we were designing this program so that it's buildable and that we can expand on it so that we didn't have to take all of that cost up front. And that's what this is. With the shutdown, we found that it's pretty apparent that the detectives have to have their own body camera. We weren't able to bring people here and do interviews due to the social distancing requirements, and it became something that we felt that was necessary. And so Scott reached out also with bringing on some additional reserve officers and making sure that we at least always had 2 of these on the shelf ready to go in the event that we had a failure, so that no officer is ever out there without one. the need has popped up for us to be able to do expansion. Funds are available for this, and what I would ask is that the commission give us approval to move forward.
Chief, where are these funds going to be allocated from?
They're coming out of our new equipment budget line item.
Okay. Madam President, I would make a motion to approve Axon Enterprise for $13,148.99.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Any additional discussion?
I didn't catch who the second was. I'm sorry.
John Nixon.
John Nixon.
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Commissioners,
Will this leave you extra, Chief? This will leave 2, 1,
2.
2.
2 on the shelf.
yeah, it'll always keep us at least 2 on the shelf for emergency purposes.
Okay.
Under other business, sadly, due to the shutdown and Corona, we were not able to have our National Police Week that is normally held in Washington, D.C. So as a result, we found some new and more innovative ways to be able to celebrate and honor our officers for that week. I don't know if you had the opportunity, but AC Ralston worked with our PR department and they put together a WMPD video that went out and it was on social media for the entire week. It's actually still out there. And it turned out very well. We had a lot of great responses from it. And I appreciate all the effort that Scott and the guys put into getting it put together.
Sergeant Yurgosh worked a lot on that too as well, Chief.
Awesome. Way to go, John.
Good video.
And with that, that's all I have.
I apologize. Chief, real quick, with everything that has transpired over the last couple of weeks, is there anything that you've been conveying to our officers or Scotty or just refreshing or anything in that regard?
Scott held a number of shift meetings with all of the officers, and we've had meetings with the supervisors. Safety is obviously the most talked about thing. You may hear of people making comments about, well, why are we seeing 2 officers on every single call that we go on? And one of the reasons for that was the things that are happening right now. You cannot be too cautious. And right now, I would rather go ahead and start, if you're making a traffic stop, since we're slowly starting to get back into our proactive enforcement. If you're making a traffic stop, to go ahead and call for a backup right then. It's easier to disregard them than it is to get them started. And so I've already had some of our public has reached out to me via telephone messaging and wanted to know, is this going to become like the new normal? And my response is, it's what our new normal is for right now, until things start to change and we can relax that posture. I think it's beneficial for both the officers and the public to have multiple officers responding.
Well, you guys are always proactive, and I for one, I just greatly appreciate that. So thank you for that.
I think we've had a healthy crew through all of this as well, haven't we?
We have. We've had a total of 5 officers that have been exposed at different times, and we were able to get them in pretty quickly and get them tested. We've been fortunate that every one of those tests has come back negative, and so we've been able to not only immediately put them into quarantine, but we've been able to take them right back out of quarantine pretty
That's great.
quickly and get them back active on the road.
That's great. Thank you for that, because I know that's taking a lot of conscientiousness on their part to make sure that they're not allowing themselves to become ill. So I really appreciate that. We all appreciate that. So,
Thank you.
well, if there's nothing else, do we
Make a motion, we close.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kevin. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let's be safe out there.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night,
Commissioner.
y'all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.